I have been training really hard, and I've been training for this contest as well as others, and I'm in great shape. I'm in the shape of my life, and I'm coming off a good meet in the U.S. a few weeks ago, and I was really excited about this, and it is disappointing, but I guess things happen for a reason, and it happened, and I'd go on.
So the big disappointment for Pickler, who qualified 4th in the men's platform, will not be competing. He's on the sidelines watching the action here at the Alumni Arena, the diving venue, and the final day of World University Games competition. It's the men's finals in the 10-meter platform. Now, as a basis of their performance in the preliminaries, the dive order you see on your screen, the top 5 qualifiers, ending with Xiong from China. He dives at the end of every round, and our standings at the end of 6 rounds of diving shows that Xiong is in 2nd place behind his teammate Ying. Now, they're very close together in the battle for 3rd place. Looks like the Ukrainian Volodkov, who placed 3rd on springboard, is still in the battle. American PJ Bogart has risen to the occasion with Pickler on the sidelines. He is currently in 4th place at the end of the 6th round. There are 10 rounds in diving. We now show you what happened earlier in the 7th round. This is PJ Pickler. He's doing a PJ Bogart doing an arm stand cut through reverse.
PJ was really making a charge in the contest until this dive. You'll notice that he simply lets go too soon as the rotation doesn't quite make that straight up and down vertical entry. 4.5 and 5s were the judges' scores, and really may severely hurt his chances to move up on the competition.
Also, a 2.6 degree of difficulty won't help at all. Earlier in this round as well, Roman Volodkov in 3rd place at the end of the previous round, a back 3.5 somersault.
Keep your eye on this entry. This diver is the sleeper in the contest. He got 8s on that dive and could be a real factor as we move on.
So now we join the action in the 7th round from Kazakhstan. It's Damir Akhbetmakov, and he'll be doing a reverse 2.5 somersault in tuck. He was in 6th place at the start of the round.
As we get into the optional dives now, and these harder spinning optional dives, the control and the entry is exactly what the judges are looking for. They want to see strong jumps, good technique in the air, and smooth, clean entries. And if you can combine all of those efforts, you'll get scores of 8. If you get scores of 8, that is, you will be in the hunt for a medal in this contest.
Well, he got 8s from the judges here. There's 65 points on the dive for Damir, and he'll hold his 6th place position. Up on top from Mexico is Fernando Platas. We saw his name earlier as a 2nd place finisher on the 3-meter springboard. He's a 20-year-old. He's doing a reverse 3.5 somersault. A 3.4 degree of difficulty should help him in the standings.
I like Fernando's diving. He's been struggling a bit. Let's see how he does on this high degree of difficulty dive. Nearly sensational. Nearly sensational as we look at the Mexican coaches certainly approving. The takeoff was absolutely flawless. It looked like he was launched off the platform. Look how high he jumps. Count how many somersaults he does above the platform. There's 1, there's 2, and he has 1.5 left to that entry. Now, this is where he goes wrong. He ducks his head, does not reach back, and misses that clean entry, and that splash is going to hurt him with the scores.
The judges marks 7s, 6.5, a 6. That'll be tossed out. 71 points, a good point total because of the high degree of difficulty. Right. Jesus Maina, his teammate, is now on platform, a back 3.5 somersault. And tuck, a 3.3 degree of difficulty, and he was in 10th place at the end of the prior round.
And there you get an idea from that overhead just how quickly that 10 meters evaporates. He did a back 3.5 somersaults, really didn't quite make the rotation.
Michelle Mitchell-Roach is on the pool deck, and she's been talking to some of the coaches and has an interesting insight into our next diver, Ying.
Thanks, John. You know, interesting information down here. I was speaking with the former Chinese coach, Bo Shi. He was telling me that Ying, while a competitor of Xiong, will be retiring after next month. He has some sort of a depth perception problem coming off the platform. This will probably be his final competition, and Xiong, the former silver medal and bronze medal winner, will continue through 1996 and the Atlanta Games. Back to you, John.
Interestingly enough, he is currently our leader, and one would wonder if a victory here might not postpone his retirement.
With the Chinese diving, you never know. We've heard all kinds of things come out of China as to who was their top diver, and we're always surprised. Now this inward 3 1/2 somersault, notice the legs coming apart a bit. That is a minor flaw. I don't think the judges would be able to proceed that. If they could, they would have to take off for it a bit.
So the judges' scores for our current leader, marks on the board, 6.5s, a couple of 8s, 68 points on the dive for Gui Ying.
Now, John, if I may, Xiong Ni, our next diver, this is a diver who has really been in the shadows. He was in Greg Louganis' shadow in 1988. He was second. He then was the front runner in Barcelona, only to lose to his teammate and the American diver Scott Doney. Again, he's in the shadows. He needs a win here. He needs an impressive win.
He's on his way, perhaps, to second place at the start of this round. He wants to go past his teammate. The scores here might do it. A 3.2 degree of difficulty on a back 1.5 somersault with 3.5 twists. And the judges' marks are coming up now.
Now you see from the overhead, he jumps right into the twist as he wraps his arms across his body, and he lines that dive up for the entry, which again, all of those techniques must take place in the bat of an eye.
So the marks 8, 7.5, 76 points on the dive. Not enough to overtake his teammate, but still now they're within 7 points of each other. Welcome back, everybody. John Neighbor with Steve McFarland and Michelle Mitchell-Rocha. We're now in the 9th round of men's 10-meter platform competition. Our standings after 8 rounds are the same as when we left after 7, but the margins of advantage have changed. The one big change, Xiong Ni has leaped into the lead over his teammate Wei Gui. And the replay, he got the lead as a basis of this dive we're going to show you now on replay. His 8th round dive got a 10 and 5 9.5, Steve.
And here's why. Notice this jump in perfect tuck position. He gets out of this tuck with such a straight body, right there. Doesn't waver at all, reaches back for the entry. And then that disappearing act. What a dive.
Now, American P.J. Bogart can move up a notch in the standings if this dive does not go well for Fernando Platas. He's currently in 4th place. He's doing a back 1.5 somersault, 2.5 twists, a 2.8 degree of difficulty. Remember, he placed second on springboard here, 20 years of age.
Yes, he placed second to Xiong Ni, so I'm sure he'd like to get a little closer to him in this contest. Like that dive because of the start. I think he got into the twist way too late to have the dive finish high enough for a clean entry, and I don't think the scores are going to go above 8. I think he'll probably score below. See, he needs to be in the twist much sooner than that. Now watch how low to the water he finishes. He doesn't quite get his body straight until almost the very last minute.
So we take a look at those marks. 7s, 7.5s from the judges. Platas is ahead of American Bogart, but only by about 14 points. Here comes his teammate, Jesus Mena, a 25-year-old placed in the Olympics in 1988.
Right, he was a bronze medalist in '88. He wound up 15th in Barcelona.
Somewhat sluggish here. He was in last place in the 3rd round. He's 10th place as recently as round number 6.
You know, we talk a lot about judging in the split tuck. This is a perfect example of it. Watch how far apart his knees are. Now, we can see it clearly from this angle, but the judges don't necessarily see it. If they should, though, they should be able to take off a 1.5, possibly 2 points from the profile view. Now, Judge 7, being a little further out, he may be able to have seen that. He may have deducted for it.
Ying just left the platform doing a forward 3.5 somersault. He was in 2nd place at the end of the last round.
I think, John, he may have given Xiong Ni a little more room to extend his lead. And you can see he's not very happy with that dive. He simply misjudged the entry. The takeoff was fine. The jump and throw are dynamic, but he reaches in the wrong part of the pool. See how he reaches underneath? And the splash coming toward us indicates he went beyond straight up and down.
The marks 7s, 7.5s for a total of 64 points. The big figure here was that it's a 3.0 degree of difficulty, 0.4 of a point less than the dive we're about to see, a reverse 3.5 somersault in tuck.
Now, we talked about Xiong Ni earlier. He is the World Cup champion, but almost by default. Sun Shu Wei, his teammate who beat him in Barcelona, is out with an injury, possibly retiring from the sport. So again, I think he needs an impressive victory here to demonstrate to the judges as well as the Chinese officials. And with dives like that, he may very well have made his point.
He only needs 6.5 to take the lead or to hold the lead. He'll get those easily. The question is, does he increase his lead by enough to guarantee victory in the next and final round?
He's been doing this dive, you may recall. This was the dive that he nearly beat Greg Louganis on in the Olympics. And with that, again, that straight body kick out and that reaching for the right spot in the water for the clean entry, that's really what makes it work. Let's see how many somersaults he does above the platform. Nearly 2, but he has enough presence to reach back and to line up that entry. The judges are going to go 8s or better, I would expect, on that dive.
Well, the marks indeed 8.5s, a couple of 9s, and a 9.5. Great point total. 580 is his running total, put him 32 points ahead of his teammate Ying. So at the conclusion of the second to last round, it's Xiong followed by China teammate Ying, and American PJ Bogart is still in 5th. Welcome back to the Alumni Arena. We're getting ready for the final round of the men's 10-meter platform competitions. And at the start of the round, the standings you see on your screen, Xiong and his teammate from China have a strong commanding lead over the field for the top 2 spots. The battle for the bronze medal looks like Volodkov from the Ukraine, followed by Platas from Mexico, and America's Bogart. This was earlier in the final round.
This is a back 1 1/2 somersault with 3 1/2 twists. PJ really making his run now for a bronze medal. Wonderful twisting action. He misjudges the lineup just a bit, ducks his head and creates a little splash. He did get 7s and 8s. But then the attention turned to Volodkov. Same dive. And this is what happened. He does not misjudge the entry. Cleaner dive. He keeps more 8s, and now he's the one to beat for the bronze medal.
Those points put him comfortably in first place at this position in the round, and just hit the water. We saw Fernando Platas. Now, Platas was in 4th place, and he was trying to do his final dive, a forward 3.5.
Which he needed to do for straight 9s if he wanted a shot at a bronze medal. Strong jump, and again, just does not make the straight body entry. He finishes too low to the water. That will not get 9s.
So no medal for Platas, though he does go by Bogart. So it looks like the positions will stay pretty much constant in those 3rd through 5th spot. Here's Jesus Maina, who's currently in 8th place at the start of the round, the Olympic medalist. His final dive, the same as we saw from Bogart.
A lot of the divers like to finish the contest with back twisters because they can see the water when they, what's called, square out of the twist. And you'll notice when his arms come out to the side, he's looking at the water right there. If they can see the water, that gives them an opportunity to line up and to hopefully get that clean entry and impress the judges.
Well, he won't medal, but it was a fine performance. Take a look at the list of the winners in the last 10 years. In the 5 events the World University Games has hosted in the last decade, the Chinese have won 3. The Americans, 2 great American divers, have won 2 of them. It looks like the Chinese are going to add another title today. There's only 2 divers remaining, and they're both in strong positions. And so take a look at the scores from Maina, 6.5s and 7s. And now we go up to 10 meters for a final time for Ying. The 18-year-old who might make this his final competition needs big points to set a mark in front. 3.4 degree of difficulty. That's to his advantage. It's 2/10 higher than his opponent.
Nearly. The jump and the kick out were fine, and the technique in the air were fine. I sound like a broken record on misjudging entries, but here's clearly an example of not reaching your hands and looking back for the entry. And you'll see what I mean. Jump is sensational. The tight tuck, the flat feet, of course, are a deduction. But watch what he does here. He doesn't reach back. He pulls his head, his chin in, and he doesn't make the dive straight. He had an opportunity to. And so 6s and 7, the result, and you can see, is not quite what he wanted.
Well, he only needed 2.5s to take the lead currently, but he needed to take his mark well out beyond the final diver, and it's Xiong. Many have sometimes called him a choke artist because he's gotten so close. The question is, will he perform it here?
Clearly, he's been in command, John. And I think after we saw him take the lead, he wasn't going to relinquish it. That inward 3.5 is almost an exclamation point, too. The dominance that he's capable of, can he maintain that in the world events coming up in the next few years? Beautiful start. Terrific finish. You're looking at, again, 8.5s, possibly 9s, and a clear win for China, and a very impressive win here for Xiong Ni.
8.5s, the marks indeed. He only needed 4.5s to win, so he wins. As we take a look at our final standings, Xiong Ni wins it by some 38 points. Is that enough of a margin, Steve, to impress the judges for future competition?
I think 38 points is respectable, yes. I think he didn't start out very strong, but he certainly did finish well, and he needs a little confidence booster. I think he'll be around for years to come.
So our official results. Xiong Ni wins it. Ying takes second place. Third goes to the Ukrainian, Roman Volodkov. Platas finishes fourth, and P.J. Bogart in fifth place.